Spence, how are you, my man?
Dre, I am great. It's major week, brother. One of my favorite weeks of the year, especially this one, because I get to be up at like 3 a.m. watching golf.
Yeah, I've done that a lot in my life. I love when there are people who can relate to that because at different points in my life, I become that guy that has to stay up late or get up really early to watch stupid sporting events on the other side of the globe. This is not one of those, but I'm hyped to have you on to get into exactly that today. So thanks for doing this, man.
I'm hyped to be on. I love, as you know, I'm a degenerate gambler, so
Yes.
I'll always go on and talk on a bet show. It's funny, dude, because whenever I go on this, like when I
Mm-hmm.
give my picks out, I'm like so stressed about them compared to like when I just log into my DK and bet random stuff. But when
No,
I tell other
exactly.
people about it, I'm like, oh god, here we go. I
How are
don't want
you?
to ruin these guys' record.
Well, you're giving out picks on Big Drive Energy too. Like this
That's
isn't
true.
some novel concept to you.
True. But
How's
those are like golf is so like far out that if I hit one, I'm gonna let you hear about it for months. And if I lose, I'm just gonna move on and do it again next week.
well, that's how it is. In fact, scrolling through your ever-growing, incredibly popular TikTok, I'll see when there is a winning pick once in a while. I'll see that clip, and it makes me feel good, and I love to see
Absolutely.
it.
I'll ride
Um,
that for a while.
yeah, exactly. That TikTok's just on fire these days. The abs inspired names were just were just legendary. Those were so
Dude,
good.
I was
So
so
good.
hyped to put that one out. I was like, yes, this is not a lot of stuff I do. I actually think is legitimately borderline genius, but that was pretty close.
Yeah, no, God, anytime you guys make a new video, then I'm scrolling through your TikTok channel for like 15 minutes to rewatch old videos that crack me up. It's
I
such a good
appreciate
time,
that.
man. Yeah. Um, so yeah, check Spence out, the TikTok, Big Drive Energy, of course. Him and his bro Mitch, they are must follows, great insights on golf. And I found it incredibly comical, all the responses to the live tour, Spence, but I've got no skin in the game. How have you how have you taken this new revolution in golf?
You know, I think it's a little comical how um on a pedestal all the guys that aren't going are saying that it's so dirty and this and that. I do think the overall concept of a different type of golf is good for the PGA Tour,
Mm-hmm.
and not the fact that they can just rest on their laurels, if you will, of creating this
Right.
tour and then everybody plays it and it's the peak of golf and they want to be on it. Now this other one's coming in offering more money, changing the game essentially, but as you have seen, other than, I mean, there's a few guys, Dustin Johnson, etc., but most
Right.
of the guys are just washed up guys that can't really win anymore on the PGA Tour, and then they're going to make more money to not win, play less holes. I do think the concept is good. The overarching concept is good.
Mm-hmm.
I think a little bit of the nuts and bolts need a good amount of work before it becomes
Right.
a legitimate rival. But I also find it comical all the guys that are like probably in some sort of preliminary talks or have been with the live tour, decide not to do it for whatever reason, and then come out and are like, this is the worst thing ever. It's like,
Right.
dude, you know that you're looking at those numbers that they're taking, like Charles Schwartzel, 4.7 million for winning the first live event.
Mm-hmm.
There's hundreds of tour guys that haven't made that in 2 years
That's
in
insane.
total,
Yeah.
so and when somebody waves those checks in front of your face, it makes it tough. But I do think some of the tour players are going a little overboard in their defense of it. But
Right.
that it is what it is. Some guys, it's funny because it did make the PGA Tour started a new series, if you will, where
Uh-huh.
they all of a sudden came up with a shitload of more money from somewhere to pay bigger purses for like 8 tournaments. And so as a PGA Tour player, I'd be like, where'd you get that? Or why
Right.
hasn't that been
Right.
offered to us this entire time? Now that there's competition, you finally decide to. So there's
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff. There's lawsuits. There's a lot of shit going down.
Yeah, it's kind of like the calm old world of golf has really really had a bit of flamethrower thrown at its way. But yeah, you're right. The response has been crazy, and like ultimately more competition, more money should only raise all boats and help.
Exactly.
So yeah, the response has been kind of comical, but that's why we love Spence, man, because he is one of the good guys actually trying to raise the level of the game, broaden the horizons of golf, and for guys like me, that's golf betting. So Yaya, if you're ready, I think this is a nice lead up to go right into Spence's picks. But if Yaya needs a second longer, I will defer and take mine. Look at that. Classic stuff. Great shit. Yeah. Nicely done.
Love that. Well done, Yaya. So I did a pretty deep dive this week onto the picks. Of course, major championships are always more fun to bet on because there's a lot more. It's like the Super Bowl. There's more props. There's more different options out there. I know we're going to get to DraftKings, and they put a few specials out there, if you will, of things that we're going to talk about. But there's just more. There's more in-depth bets. There's more things you can look at, which of course in a degenerates world is the best thing ever.
Yes.
But I did find a stat, and it's funny because these are kind of I know in betting you see trends, right? And and just in the sports world, there's these trends that sometimes make no sense. Like it just more of a coincidence, but as a bettor, you're like, oh, this has to happen,
Right.
And so my winning pick falls kind of under this, where as much as Shane Lowry's playing pretty good golf, he's from Ireland, so he's already. I kind of leaned a little bit towards guys already from that area, just because it's a different style of golf. We talked about this extensively yesterday on Big Drive Energy, so make sure if you're not tuning into that, tune in. Shameless plug. But it's a different style of golf than America. It's a lot windier. You're putting from a lot of different places off the green instead of chipping. You have to hit completely different golf shots. And so the guys that grew up in this it's very similar to like a tennis, where if you're good on clay, you're good on clay. If you're good on grass, you're good on grass. This is just different types of grass, but the same concept. And Shane Lowry, so this stat that I saw, 8 of the last 10 major Open Championship winners. So the British used to be called the British Open. Now it's just called the Open Championship. I'm still not used to that part.
Me neither.
8 of the last 10 winners of that tournament have been top 3 in the Masters that same year before. And so this falls under that. Shane Lowry did finish tied for 3rd in the Masters this year. And like I said, Irishman played a lot of this golf course before. Does everything well, nothing exceptional. But that's where my winner pick falls at plus 2,200 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. This next pick is as close to a golf lock at plus odds that I've ever seen. This could go horribly wrong for me. I understand that, but I'm going to stick my neck out. I'm not a big Jordan Spieth guy. Let me say that. So for him to be on my card is pretty substantial. But he played so a lot of the players played last week in the Scottish Open, which was a PGA sanctioned event this year, because they get ready, they fly over, get their body clocks changed for the Open Championship. But Jordan Spieth had a chance to win it. Saturday, I did live bet him to win it at plus 1,000. That did not turn out. Xander Schauffele ended up winning it, but Jordan Spieth has won an Open Championship before, so he knows what it takes to win across the pond. And I don't know if he wins this week or not. If I had to put like a bet on 5 guys to win it as well, he would have been on there. It's just the odds quite aren't there for me to pick him as the winner. But I think as a fair top 10 pick, he's rounding into form. He won he won like a month ago at the RBC. He played well last week, finished top 10 at the Scottish Open. And this is a tournament where the the Open Championship is a tournament where you don't necessarily need to bomb driver. You don't need to be accurate driver. You don't even need to hit it. And Jordan Spieth excels in tournaments where he doesn't need to hit his driver, because that thing is about as hot and cold as Colorado weather sometimes in the winter. So he doesn't have to hit a ton of driver. He can hit a lot of irons off tees, keep the ball in play. And he tends to get as hot as anybody in the world, if you will, with the putter. And if he can get hot with the putter, this is a tournament that last year, the Open Championship, now it cycles around. It's just like every other major other than the Masters that cycles to different courses. But last year, Colin Morikawa won the Open Championship at I believe 16 under. And I don't think we're going to see scores like that this week. There was damn near perfect conditions last year. I hope it's windy. I hope it's crazy. It makes it more fun to watch, more one of us type of stuff when you're watching the golf when it's windy versus when it's perfect.
Totally.
But the fact that Jordan Spieth's already won one, he's been there, he played well at Scottish, all adds up. And then my last pick, Tommy Fleetwood to top 20 plus 160. He's a guy that I would not pick to win this. If you told me 5-10 guys, even he wouldn't be up there. But this is a guy that he's like a mini Rory McIlroy in that he'll be out of a tournament. But that's the beauty of a top 20 pick is you can be 50th going into Sunday, shoot one of the 5 or 6 rounds under par if it's playing tough, and all of a sudden you vault yourself all the way to the top 20. So I don't look for him to be in contention even most this time. But a top 20 bet is basically, hey, can you be 1 to 2 shots, if not in the top 20 starting the final round, shoot a little 68, 69, find yourself in the top 20, cash that 160. So I really do believe in my top 10 and top 20 picks this week, and I've gone fairly big on them myself. So
love that. That's and that'll start tonight, yeah?
Yes, I think the first tee time in the morning is at 4:38. So 2:38, 4:38 Eastern, whatever time that is in England, and then 2:38 our time, I believe, is when the guys are off. So when I wake up for work at 4 a.m., I'll be able to listen to PGA Tour golf on my way to work, which is I'm stoked. I love it. My favorite.
Wow. That's incredible. So to lock in those odds, got to get those bets in tonight. And,
exactly. Yep. You don't want to miss that. Yeah.
I love the tier winner, top 10, top 20. Those are all extremely intriguing. We'll pitch you on some more real quick. I have my big 3. Fire that up. We've gone 5-1 the last couple days. Since I said, you know what, screw it. I miss hockey, but we're going to dive in and give out some sound researched picks on the MLB. Believe it or not, that's working. So we talked about yesterday how inflated Coors Field overs can be, and the value of away favorites. And that, of course, has kind of been the label that the Padres have followed. That was my one loss yesterday. Rockies pulled it out. Bit of an emotional hedge. You love to see that. Today, I'm going to go with the first 5 innings under. We've got Josh Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. He's been absolutely fantastic this year. And Chad Kuhl with the K. He's at least going to gobble up some innings for you, keep the Rockies in it. We are seeing hitting down across the board in the MLB, and I think a lot of that is just how managers are really staying on top of and managing, for lack of better terms, their pitching. So, it's quicker hooks. It's more focused on the matchups and what have you. And that's what makes me confident in this under, where I think you're getting a little extra juice too, just because it's at Coors. And then following that away favorites model, we are going with the Dodgers tonight in St. Louis. Look, it's Adam Wainwright on the mound for the Cardinals. So far from an easy matchup, but the Dodgers are throwing out Tony Gonsolin, who has an 11-0 record, .80 whip, a 1.62 ERA. They lost a close one yesterday in St. Louis, so they don't want to fall behind. Obviously, this is a big, it's the second of 3 here, so they got to take care of business in this one. So give me that. And then a Rapids pick, doubling up Pids, Rockies tonight. Pids taking on Orlando City. And we've just seen the struggles defensively with the Rapids lately. Seemed like maybe they turned a corner in their play and style of play last week. So intrigued to see how that continues. I think that could lead to more goals. But what I also know is that the way they are playing defensively is going to lead to more goals for the other team. Give me over 2.5 goals at -150. That's basically hitting at a 2-to-1 proposition. In fact, it's hit exactly as a 2-to-1 proposition in the last 9, where the over is 6-3. Sacrificing a little juice on this card. Rare that I'm going to give out this many minuses, especially with 2 below the -150 threshold. But you know what? Spence has us covered with all the pluses, so I could afford a few minuses on this card here.
Absolutely, and I love that card. It does hurt to hear about the inflated overs at Coors Field, because I went to the game last night, and that makes me bet significantly more than I should on it. And I did have the over, and after the first 2 innings, I was like, this is cooked. Got closer, but
really
also
close.
To your point, I know Colome got hurt apparently, but like they pulled him out in the middle of the 8th inning when the game got close, and then so managers are just like, yo, I don't care if this guy's coming in with 1 ball, that which you never really see that. And then they held on. I always will Rockies over everything, so I wasn't cheering for the Padres to tie it, but it wouldn't have hurt if they could have tied it in the 8th, and then the Rockies could hit a 2-1 run walk off in the 9th. But beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that sounds nice. It sounds like that would have been nice, no doubt. But yeah, no, we're finding that like 3 to 4 year sample size, the unders are the way to go at Coors. And I mean, it's always getting inflated. It's like the one ballpark where it's regularly over 11, and we're just not really seeing that.
Yeah, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 8, 8.5, 7, 11,
right.
12.
Right, exactly. And that's now, this is such an I want to make clear that what we are saying is not that Coors Field is a low scoring ballpark. This is in relation to where that total line is set for the ballpark. So it's really irrelevant how many runs on average are being scored at Coors. It's all in relation to where that total is set. And that's always like getting like just skyrocketing up, and treated the way that other ballparks, other batter happy ballparks aren't. So you've kind of got that, it's just the name value shit. All that at DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going to get into some pre-cooked parlays. We're going to get into some sweet promos and deals they've got on the golf for you. They have some inspired Colorado-based SGPs and parlays that we're going to go over. So it's actually kind of a packed second half of the show, all thanks to the good friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. And, right now, new users can this is the free bet token up to $1,000 that RK was talking about. He gave away the most garbage, ambitious, long shot Open Championship pick possible yesterday, Spence. I actually thought on the graphic, Ronan Mularney was a there it is, Ronan Mularney. I thought that was a typo, and we just misspelled Rory McIlroy and added a couple zeros to that line. But no, RK was serious. And new users could place a free bet on that up to $1,000 and win $1 million if that somehow happened. Spence, like
that is amazing. And looking at our guest that we had on yesterday, he's played on the PGA Tour a little bit and done some stuff like that, and he basically came out with all long shots as well. And he had let me pull this up here. He had Brooks Koepka to win it plus 5,000, pretty big, and then Scott Vincent plus 4,000 to top 10.
Oh wow,
it's a guy that's like won on the Japanese tour. You don't see that kind of odds for like a top 10, for a winner, even that's like high odds for a winner. And then he had the guy Wyndham Clark, but Mitchell's also got a Robert McIntyre. He's plus 13,000 to win it. So
oh wow. See, this is what I love about golf. It's why, like the KBO summer when we had no sports, it was kind of fun betting on golf and that was like our Wednesday routine. We'd cover whatever PGA Tour was going on. All at DraftKings Sportsbook, man. They are the best. All these long odds, all these great offers. Use that code DNVR when you sign up, and they'll match your first deposit bonus up to $1,000. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Bonus comprised of first deposit bonus and a first bet match, each up to $500. Deposit bonus requires 25 times. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/workbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Yeah, good call by you giving me that disclaimer. I was not ready to process the new disclaimer. What I am ready to process, though, as we hinted to, is a new game. Let's go to the dilemma. Yeah. I don't know why we haven't done this before. It's been staring us in the face since DraftKings added these new pre-cooked SGPs, pre-cooked parlays. And so we're going to play buy, fade, or stay away from DK's pre-cooked parlays of the day. And we've got some golf ones for Spence that we're going to jump right into. And here we are. Swinging easy at St. Andrews is the first one, Spence. The premise is bet recent winners and defending champs to show out on the old course. Xander Schauffele, top 10. Matt Fitzpatrick, top 20. Morikawa, top 40. Those three parlayed together at plus 650.
I hate that I love it so much.
Really?
Yeah. So in golf, really, one of the things I look at a lot is like prior winners. Mm-hmm. Now, if it would have something to do with Xander winning, he's won 2 straight starts. The last 2 tournaments he's entered, he's won. So I give him almost 0 chance to win this week.
Right.
But when you've won 2 straight tournaments, one of them being the Scottish Open, he's hot. Yeah. Okay, that takes care of him. Matt Fitzpatrick is a perfect guy, as we just saw in our case picks to win it.
Right.
Taking him top 20, that sounds easy. And Morikawa is a big game hunter. Morikawa is scary. Yeah. I know RK loves him. I think he's vanilla. I don't like him. I think it's just because RK likes him so much that I don't like him. You know, when somebody's just so in love with someone, you find a reason to not. But overall, he's a guy that he shows up on the big stage. Yeah. And that's why he's tough to bet on the big stage, because now that he's proven over a couple of years, he's won an Open Championship, he's won a PGA Championship. Right. You know he's going to do it, or you have faith he's going to do it, but he plays so not well in other events leading up to it that it makes you a little scared. But we do, and it's top 40. That's basically making the cut and surviving Saturday, Sunday. So, like that pre-cooked parlay is right up RK's alley. Essentially, he's just got to hope that Xander Schauffele gets top 10, which he's playing maybe the best golf on tour right now, maybe the best golf in the world. So, I mean, I like that pre-cooked parlay, and I watch a good amount of your guys' bet shows, but I just wonder in general, what is your feeling on the pre-cooked parlay? Is that a DraftKings thing where it's like, hey, I would love to see their record on these. Now, granted, they're big parlays, but is it something that it's like, hey, if they had like a 500 record or a record unit wise that was pretty even, right? I'd be curious to see just for fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of these, it's like, hey, bet this. We know that Colin Morikawa is going to shoot 95 this weekend. So, and not saying that they're like that, but just in general, some of those pre-cooked parlays, you like it so much that you're like, something's off here.
Yeah, and I mean, that used to be the deal. We used to have an odds boost section that they've kind of taken off. And the odds boost always felt like that. Like for a while, we were like fading the odds boost. They just felt so cheesy. These where they're handing out like 15 a day seem very inspired by the kind of stat hub parlays you could have the app kind of cook together for you. And they're a little more thematic. So I think I'm a bit more of a believer, but yeah, you would love to see the record. And for a parlay, I'd like to see a unit record. I think that would be the more appropriate way to measure these.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, I hate that, but I love that. I can't find any leaks in that parlay right there. Which is
I love that.
It's a scary
I'll be
sentence.
sprinkling that. Yeah, with all the long shots you guys have handed out, for this one being over, plus 650 and feeling that safe is intriguing.
Absolutely.
This is the other one, and we're going nationality based on this one.
Love
Spence. Bet these winners to finish top of their nationality at the Open Championship. John Rahm, top Spanish. You love that. Matthew Fitzpatrick, top English. And here's the catch. Rory, top Irishman. We just had you give out an Irishman as a winner, right? I'm not mistaking my
Yes.
Tommy Fleetwood's nationality. So I imagine that's where
Shane
you go.
Lowry. But
Shane
yes,
Lowry.
Tommy
Yes,
Fleetwood is the other Englishman that will be giving
Right.
Fitzpatrick a run for his money.
Right.
I also love that. I love Shane Lowry to win it, but Rory's the odds-on favorite to win this thing. Now, we know what happens when he's the odds-on favorite to win something is he doesn't. So that as much as it's crazy to say, the only thing that would scare me a little bit about that is the Rory pick, because you know, he just has to be the top Irishman, so that part helps you a little bit. But normally, when he's an odds-on favorite, I believe last I checked at plus 900 to win the tournament. As much as I wanted to bet that, I can't do it. I can't bet an odds-on favorite for a tournament. I think there was a run early this year where John Rahm was the odds-on favorite to win like 10 straight events and didn't even like top 5 any of them. So it's not that there's pressure from these. I mean, there's enough pressure.
Sure.
There's not betting pressure on these guys at all. But it just seems that when a guy's an odds-on favorite, everybody thinks he's going to win it. We see the opposite. And he could have a Rory-like week where he's 10 shots out going into Sunday, shoots some crazy low 64, 65, finishes in the top 10, and comes out of nowhere to kind of scare the leaderboard. But I don't have a lot of faith in Rory McIlroy this week as much as I want to.
Yeah, and I do think that with Rory, there is some pressure of being the favorite in your home open. I mean, fuck, I saw it for a decade with Andy Murray at Wimbledon and how stressful that shit was for him, you know. So I just think there's an added spotlight anytime Rory's going to be there. When Colin won the Open Championship, was that at St. Andrews?
No, that was at, I believe, Royal Birkdale last year.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a cycling. It's cycling on the Open Championship, but it's I think I want to say there's 8 to 10 courses that get it, generally speaking. So it's a fair. I think the last time it was at St. Andrews, it was 2015, 14 or 15, right in that range. So there's a few courses in it. But St. Andrews is the home of golf, basically the end all be all. Like if you weight the Opens, I mean, you get the same trophy for all of them. But if you could tell any player which Open they'd want to win, Open Championship, it would be at St. Andrews. So this is a big one. Everybody's geared up for it.
Love that. When the stakes are high, there's more bets. Everything is great. Here's one that jumped out to me. Mile High Parlay. Broncos to win the AFC West. Avs to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. Plus 1,700.
The Avs did a great job today in free agency. Got huge. You won the cup, get the guys back. And just watching what the Avs had to go through as far as basically telling Darcy Kemper, their starting goalie, which we can argue for days about how good or good he wasn't. But the watching what the Lightning did and the lineup they put together for 3 straight years, it doesn't make any sense to me. Because just looking at what the Avs had to do this year, they had to get rid of, I mean, Berkey, guys like Berkey and Kadri weren't even like, they were like, no, we have other guys we want to sign for cheaper, and you guys are going to test the market. I don't know how the Lightning did it. Maybe they just timed it up well, where they had a bunch of guys on 5x whatevers, where they had the 3 years in a row with all of them. But if the Avs can put together pretty much the same squad, new goalie, I honestly like them to repeat, just because now they were always the team that everybody thought would win. They were always the Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
And that would get there and get close and then falter. Well, now they're reversing roles with the Lightning, where even the Stanley Cup, I was scared. I was like, the Lightning have been here before. Well, now the Avs have been there before and have all that confidence going into the playoffs. And so I like that part of it. I tell you what, I love Russell Wilson. I love what the Broncos are putting together. Yeah. First-year head coach, first-year quarterback and people just seem to think that, I mean, I would love to think that the Chiefs aren't going to be as good just because they lost Tyreek Hill, but the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, man. I don't, and the division is probably the best division in football by a good bit. They're going to
by
play
a mile.
6 very tough games and that's not including any of the outside of division games. So I don't like that. I don't think they can't win it. Let me put it that way. I just think there's not a couple of doormats that you get to play and you're fighting with the Chiefs. You got 3 other teams in that division that could, 2 of them made the playoffs last year. One of them barely missed the playoffs, and then you had the Broncos. So I just think it's too clouded in there. I would fade that.
I like that. I love it. Of course, you're adding some juice, and that could be one of those where 10 weeks in, you're feeling good about it, and you get a decent buyout.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the risk is there all on the Broncos side. That's going to do it for us, man. Check out Big Drive Energy. Go Rapids, go Rockies tonight. And, best of luck waking up early and following all the Open Championship. Thanks, man. It's always a pleasure, man.
Love it. Thanks, Andre. Thanks for having me, brother.
Best of luck, fellas.